How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's edition of Two Nerds, a Podcast. I'm Buddy the Bruiser.
And I'm Dynamite Jared Latchy.
Dynamite Jared has cranked out the floss very early on in this episode.
You know, these gums of mine have been really sensitive as of late. And while we're doing the podcast, it's just like a perfect opportunity. There's our producer, Jake Hill's floss is
very
right next
conveniently placed.
Very conveniently placed. So just like I can do this and floss at the same time with kind of minor changes to my vocal output here.
So before we go ahead and get started, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who's checking out the show. If you are listening to us over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you get notified when our podcasts come out. We do have a download link in the description for you guys if you're listening on the go. Last episode was a hit from what I can tell. A lot of you guys have checked that out, so we hope to continue it.
I'll tell you how we continue it right now. This is how we're going to be a hit this week. How many views do we have on the last episode?
Well, at the time of this recording, I believe we're at like 192. 192.
Well, we're going to get 192 right now, and I'm going to tell you exactly how.
How?
Ross Lynch.
We
have said Ross Lynch's name on the podcast, and now we will get 150 plus views. Thanks, Ross. You've been an extreme help to the podcast.
Without even knowing
it. You've been tagged in several tweets as a result of us. You're probably getting some of these notifications. Like, there's been 50 retweets on our thing. You've probably maybe seen it by now.
I severely doubt it.
He's got 2 million followers,
yeah.
But probably more than that. But hey,
if you are a Ross Lynch fan, go retweet our tweet and continue to tweet to Ross until he comes on the podcast.
We could get him on the phone, maybe.
We'll get him on the phone, maybe.
Maybe we could text him.
Maybe.
Just text him and just be like, so what do you think of this? And then I'll just read it off and be like, Ross says this. Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, thanks Ross Lynch for, getting us some views. I think people are only listening to the 3 minutes where we talk about him.
So they'll listen to the first couple minutes right now when we're talking about him, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good looking guy.
Yeah. We'll get more into some good looking guys into the future. Don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything.
Don't want to spoil anything for those of you who may be listening to us in October. Wink, wink. But anyway, as of right now, it's pretty hot in here right now, Jared.
It's pretty steamy, buddy, and you can smell the lust in the air. It's hot, it's steamy, it's Sextember.
It is Sextember,
and we are keeping Sextember rolling with some of the worst sex scenes. Now, we didn't get much feedback.
We did not get much feedback. We did get some feedback, not about sex scenes, but we did have some community input on what we should talk about during this episode. I don't know if you noticed any of the comments or saw any of the tweets about what people want us to talk about. They are very quick, so we could get through these before we get into the real meat and potatoes, as you call it, of the podcast here.
You mean Sextember?
Sextember.
All right.
So one of our new fans who has followed both of us on Twitter.
Both of us.
As well as our show.
I got some followers. I got a couple followers. I didn't really see who they were, but I want to thank those people for following us. And we have let's plug it. Let's plug our podcast Twitter page now.
Yeah, we do have a new Twitter. It's 2nerds316 on Twitter. Go follow us.
2 nerds, the word 2.
Yes, the word 2.
Not the number 2. TWO nerds 316.
For those of you who know what 316 is, I'm assuming at least half of you do. All of you Ross Lynch fans out there probably have no idea what that means, but if you continue watching our show, you probably will.
You think Ross knows?
I severely doubt it. I don't know. I've never talked to him about wrestling.
How old is he?
He's 20.
Ooh. He's young.
He's a youngin', yeah.
Anyways, what are these things that these jabronis out here, these fans want us to talk about?
One of our fans would like to know what our favorite animals are.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. That's actually You might get a broad answer from me, so let's start with you, buddy. What's your favorite?
If I had to pick,
animal?
I have two, I think. My favorite animals are wolves, I believe, and owls, both because they're creepy as fuck. And I don't know, wolves are just cool as shit, man. Like I've been talking to my girlfriend for the past couple months how I want like a little husky, like puppy, because they're essentially fucking wolves. So it'd be fucking sick.
Huskies are good dogs too.
Yeah.
Solid dog. Solid dog.
So those are my two favorites.
So I mean, I love dogs and cats, obviously, but I mean, we'll let's narrow this down to breed on those. Even though, so my favorite breed of dog is the English Bulldog, and my favorite breed of cat would probably be a Sphinx, those fucking
right.
ugly ass hairless cats. So those are cool animals. I have a dog and 4 cats. Let's see here, but I mean, like, we could go broad. Like, what's your favorite sea creature?
Could go. Favorite sea creature? Did you see in Scotland they actually found a bunch of bones and shit that was like a dinosaur that people thought was Loch Ness?
I did not.
Like, that happened yesterday, I think, or maybe earlier today.
Oh my goodness.
People were like flipping shit.
So any of you cryptid fanatic listeners out there, there's some news for you.
Yeah.
Go check that out, because I didn't hear about that.
I heard about it on Twitter.
So
I don't know how
So
true
are
it
you
is.
saying that your favorite sea creature is Nessie?
If I had to pick, yes. I don't care if it's real or not. That's my fucking favorite, dude.
So I'm generic. I like sharks. I'll probably go great white on that, because it's just probably the most sharkiest looking shark that there is. I'm really into tortoises.
Yeah.
Tortoises and turtles, those are cool. I'll tell you what I fucking hate. I fucking hate snakes.
Snakes are the worst.
Yeah, snakes are fucking terrible. What is your favorite insect?
I don't think I have one, man. I hate all of them.
You hate all insects.
I believe I hate all insects.
What about ladybugs?
Okay, I'll fireflies, I guess. I don't
Cool.
mind them.
Fireflies are cool. I don't know if I have a favorite insect. I'll go praying mantis on this one.
Praying mantis.
Yeah, this is
Cool.
Got a little short in the mic cable there.
Quit hitting the cable, Jared.
Sorry,
You're
it's
fucking our audio
it's
straight
my
up.
dick, and when I swing around in this chair, it just kind of taps the.
Hey man, we got the Sextember talk coming a little bit later. Don't be talking about your dick this early.
Listen, man, it's already getting there. It's I don't want to be vulgar for those listeners out there, especially the Ross Lynch fans that seem like a bunch of really nice
12-year-old girls,
nice
probably.
12-year-old girls. They seem like a nice bunch of girls. I don't want to negatively influence them, but it's Sextember right now, man, and I'm getting a little excited, if you know what I mean.
Much excitement in the studio. We did have one more question, I believe, from a couple weeks ago that I'm not sure if I answered or not. They asked when I was making another review, and for those of you who don't know, I think
we covered this. I think we did. We said perhaps sooner than you think.
Perhaps we did say that. Perhaps sooner than you think.
It was very cryptic, but
in the next couple weeks, especially once October hits, you're gonna see a lot of stuff. I don't want to give too much about it away.
Yeah, I'll put a shameless plug for my blog in right now, because October is coming up, and every year for October, I watch one horror movie per day, and then I review that sumbitch that day, and I will post that review on my blog, Rewind or Die VHS, I believe. Like I said, we talked about it on the first episode.
I don't worry about what the address is. I will put it in the description for all of you guys who are interested. You can just go click on it.
I'm just shamed. Hold on. Talk, buddy. Talk about something.
Well, my YouTube channel is going to be seeing a lot of action in October, I'm assuming, with the secret project that me and Jared are working on, and also
very secret,
top
secret, Area 51 shit.
And also some other videos that I plan on doing once I have a little more free time. So October is going to be pretty busy for both of us. So again, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you follow Jared's blog, which is rewindordivehs.blogspot.com. I have 2 years, I believe, of reviews already on there, plus like a 7-day diary from my tape hunt that I did. That's kind of in between them. But yeah, I review movies. They're not exclusively on VHS, but I review horror movies every year,
and the format that I choose to watch them on is VHS. It's my favorite format, and I have an entire library in my house. So, rewinderdivehs.blogspot.com. You can check it out. Check out my old reviews, and then this October, there's more coming, and hopefully they're good this year because hopefully I don't want to watch a bunch of shit.
Yeah, so
I did last year. There's a whole lot of like 2 tape reviews on there. I rate on a scale of 1 to 5 tapes. I have a little 5 tape scale down there.
Cool stuff. So yeah, follow the blog, subscribe on YouTube. October's gonna be nuts for both of us again.
I just noticed that I have like 17 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I'm just like, why?
The life of Dynamite Jared, man.
The life of Dynamite Jared. I do have my Godzilla reviews on there, and
honestly, I think it's probably because you posted that Latterman song like a couple years ago, and that has like a shit ton of views. So they were like, "Oh, this dude's gonna post more music." And
yeah, it's possible. Maybe I will post more music because I do have some music on my computer that it's not like readily available for people to listen to on YouTube, like a lot of thrash bands and stuff like that maybe nobody has really heard of, some hardcore bands and stuff that some people haven't heard of. So you know what, keep an eye on my YouTube channel, steer clear of the life of Dynamite Jared, and keep an eye out. We might get some Sacred Denial on there or something, which is a really underrated hardcore band from the 80s that kind of crossed over into thrash, that put out, in my opinion, one of the best hardcore records of the 80s that no one has even really heard.
Besides Blind Hate's album?
So, that goes without saying. You get your ass kicked when Cinderblock gets here.
Oh, man.
Ooh, didn't mean to play footsie with you.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So I suppose we should just go ahead and get started. We've been rambling for how long now? Just about absolutely nothing?
12 minutes.
12 minutes of nothingness.
Ross Lynch.
Okay, they're still here because we said Ross Lynch.
Ross Lynch.
So they're still with us.
Randomly gonna put, Ross Lynch stuff in there. What we should do, buddy, to keep these listeners, is that we should have a segment every week.
We just talk about Ross.
What's going on with Ross Lynch? Let's keep up with Ross. You can text him or whatever. Be like, hey man, what's going on?
Hey man,
I need to know what you're doing right now so that I can talk about it on the podcast. Because we have a lot of loyal listeners that really just want to get a look into your life, and like,
they just want to know what you're all about.
Want to know what Ross Lynch is all about. Ross, if you
want to know if he had some Bootios for breakfast this morning.
Ross, if by some miracle you come across this podcast, which you won't, we would really like to have you on the show. We're trying to get your fans to speak out about this. They think it's a great idea, and it'd be a great service. It'd look really good on your resume that you're really...
Oh, I bet.
No, not on your resume, but it would look really good for you. It's like a charity.
Doing us a favor.
Do it as a favor. It's like you're really aware of some of the underground art that's going on out there right now. This show is an art form.
If you say so.
Holy shit.
We're knocking shit over. We don't know what's going on.
Look, man, you don't just come up with stuff like Sextember. Well, I didn't come up with Sextember. Obviously, Sextember has existed for ever since the dawn of time. But, you don't come up with some of the stuff that I come up with on this podcast without being an artiste. An artiste. So
anyway. All right, so let's just dive right fucking into this. We've been babbling for way too long. No one's gonna fucking listen to all this shit. So fucking worse.
I think this might be the best part of the podcast.
Just shooting the shit.
So anyways, Sextember. Let's get into it, man. Sextember. It's fucking hot. And I'm horny, you're horny, everyone's horny because it's Sextember, man, and you can feel this in the air. The hormones are just
going wild,
at
an
all-time high this time of year. It's really humid outside, man, and you're dressed pretty light today, buddy. I'm dressed pretty light today. You got basketball shorts and tank top, basketball shorts and t-shirt. I might take the t-shirt off here in a couple minutes because it is just steamy in this room right now. Yeah. But, that's what you get with Sextember. I got the AC, the central air, pumping in my house right now, just so I can maintain a livable temperature when I go to bed at night. Because, good Lord, whew, it's steamy out there. But we're going to look to cool it down a little bit because there have been some complaints. Some of our listeners have been coming to me personally. I don't know how they got my personal cell phone number, but they're texting me, and they're letting me know, like, Jared, it is a little too hot this September. So what we're going to do for you is we're going to talk about some of the worst sex scenes that have been committed to film, and hopefully that'll kind of tone the temperature down a little bit, buddy. Do you have anything for us?
Well, I was having trouble.
You guys didn't give us much help.
You guys did not give us much help.
You're complaining about the temperature. It was at all-time high. We're setting records. September temperature high records. And we're asking, like, look, man, help us decrease these temperatures. Let's get some of the worst sex scenes. It's a hard question to ask. A lot of people don't know because, most of the time sex scenes come on and no matter how bad it is, you just kind of go into an applause mode. Like, there it is.
There it is.
Sex. Right there on the screen. Do you think that Ross Lynch will ever have a sex scene?
I don't know.
Does he have a sex scene in your movie? Are you allowed to talk about it?
I cannot say. Cannot say.
Just, just give me a signal. Okay.
Gave Jared the secret symbol. But you'll have to check out the movie and find out.
Yeah, so.
But anyway, the worst sex scene I've ever seen, I've tried to put some thought into it. I can't think of too many bad sex scenes I've ever seen. And this is kind of a cop-out answer. But the worst sex scene I've ever seen, again, is in the room. But not in the room itself in the film. There is a television edit of the room, which I don't know how many people are aware of this, but on Adult Swim for, I think, like 3 or 4 years on April Fool's Day, at midnight, they would play The Room just for no reason. Cause no
I
one
knew of that, yeah.
But instead of just cutting the sex scenes out, they still played them, but they were heavily censored. And by that, what I mean is the entire screen was black, except for maybe the top 2 inches of the screen where you saw their hair. And those were the sex scenes.
So,
for like 5-10 minutes.
So what you're saying is that what makes a sex scene terrible is not being able to see what's going on.
It can make a sex scene terrible if you can't see what's going on.
I'm telling you what, I've been frustrated with some sex scenes before. And maybe Terminator 1 is a victim of this. Maybe Terminator 1 can be counted as one of the worst sex scenes of all time, even though it's one of my favorites. Because there's really no nudity. Is there?
I can't... the last time I saw the first Terminator was several years ago.
They're really just canoodling under a blanket. You know what I mean? You could tell they're having sex. But I don't think you really see anything. Except for a little bit of Arnold's, like, little... dick there at the beginning of the movie is like the only nudity that I think is in that movie. But we'll save that for another month.
We shall.
So anyways, but I've been frustrated with a lot of sex scenes in my day for really just not delivering the goods. You know what I mean? Like, you just get that close to seeing some side boob or some full-on boob, and then it just like cuts away or you don't see it, and it's just like, ah! You think you're going to see it, and then you don't. Same goes for dick, even though you never see dick in a Hollywood sex
But would
scene.
you want to see dick? In your ideal world?
In my ideal world, it depends on the actor. There's some actors that I just want to see their dick.
If it was Tom Selleck.
I'd like to see Tom Selleck's dick, and I'm surprised that... Has he posed for Playgirl before?
I don't know.
I feel like he's a Playgirl kind of guy. I don't look at Playgirl, though, so
I wouldn't know.
Ted Pryor of Deadly Prey fame was in Playgirl.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I've seen his dick when I was just looking up pictures of Ted Pryor. But
very interesting.
For those of you that haven't seen Deadly Prey, check that out. And for the ladies out there, you'll see Ted Pryor, and you'll probably want to see what he's working with. And let's hope that he's a grower. Because those pictures that I saw were not that impressive, and he was working pretty flaccid in those pictures. So I got some suggestions for. I just steamed the room right back up. You brought the temperature down with some of your with that edited room sex scene.
I think you need to bring down the temperature.
I got to bring down the temperature, and I can't think of a bad sex scene off the top of my head. So are we fucked?
We might be.
I've got some suggestions.
You do.
Robert Lincoln, dedicated listener to Two Nerds a Podcast, has listened to every episode. We thank you for your service, Robert. That means two things, because Robert was actually in the military at one time. Robert Lincoln suggests the sex scene at the end of Girl Next Door is a terrible, terrible sex scene. His reasoning is because there's so much build-up to this sex scene throughout the movie, and then at the end, you get barely nothing. It is about... I don't know. It just kind of... They start having sex, and I guess...
It's all foreplay, and then the climax doesn't work.
And then it just cuts to the credits. I guess. I don't know. I haven't finished Girl Next Door.
We did get...
I'm too busy watching good movies, Robert.
Good movies. Another one of our dedicated listeners, I'm assuming, was really aware of her existence about a week or two ago, but she said the scene from Showgirls, I believe.
Showgirls, and
Showgirls.
We have not gotten around to watching that scene yet, but she said that it absolutely ruined her childhood. We'll talk about... I'll get around to watching this sex scene, and we'll speak on it next week. Ross Lynch.
Anyway.
So, I think she's a Ross Lynch fan.
She must be.
I think so, because she commented when we said, should we have Ross on the show? And she was
slide into
the DMs, which she did not slide into either of our DMs. But she actually followed my personal Twitter as well. And so
shout out to her. You're a good fan of us and Ross, apparently.
Thank you. Your name escapes me right now. We've gotten like a flurry of followers over the past couple days. So we'll give you a special shout. I'll make sure to come prepared and give you a special shout out next week when we talk in depth on the Showgirl sex scene. I have one more from Robert Lincoln, unless you have something.
No, go ahead. I have one more, but you go ahead with your
Jarhead.
Jarhead. I have not seen Jarhead.
I have not either, but Robert made sure to describe this. Jake Gyllenhaal, the main character of Jarhead, has got the good side of the genetic pool, in case anyone hasn't seen Maggie Gyllenhaal lately. Shots fired. Shouldn't have played Rachel in The Dark Knight. She was abysmal. Worst part of that movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is the male lead in Jarhead, and for some reason his wife sends him a tape. I don't know, like to watch in front of his whole squad. He puts this tape on, I guess, and the tape is supposed to be something, but it's mistakenly been recorded over, I assume, as a sex tape with his wife having sex with the neighbor guy. So he's seeing his wife cheat on him, and his whole platoon is there and everything.
It's kind of fucked.
It's kind of fucked up, and so like Robert said that it's not particularly a bad sex scene, but you don't really feel good watching it. I can imagine. It sounds like a heart-wrenching moment, which is not what I want to feel when I'm watching something in the heat of Sextember.
Right.
What do you got?
Well, I asked the internet what the worst sex scene of all time was, and they're saying from the movie Gigli with Ben Affleck, which I have not seen, but I've heard is one of the worst movies.
That's the
one of the
G-I-G-L-I.
One of the worst movies ever made.
I see that on VHS all the time, and I never pick it up.
I've heard it's one of the worst movies ever made. Almost killed his career. It's from what I've heard.
Almost.
But apparently has one of the worst sex scenes ever in it.
More on Gigli
next week.
We will watch this whole movie, and we're going to talk about it. Ben Affleck and Gigli.
So next week, let us know some of the more worst sex scenes that you've ever seen. Also next week,
tell us about some of your favorite sex comedies.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Oh,
what is your favorite comedic sex scene? Because there are a lot of sex scenes in comedies. Trainwreck, for example.
Oh my God, fantastic!
But more about that.
Superbad.
Yeah, more about all these
we can get the obvious ones out of the way because I don't want people to be like, "Oh, McLovin's sex scene in Superbad." Yeah, we all know it's hilarious. Let's hear something else. I have a lot of obscure sex comedies on VHS that me and Buddy will probably be kind of powering through, and we'll see.
We'll see what we can come up with.
We'll see what we can come up with. I got a sex scene. I just watched a movie the other day called Hell on the Battleground with Ted Pryor in it. And unfortunately, Ted Pryor does not have a sex scene in it. But I believe... so one of the other guys in this movie has a sex scene, and that's about all I have to say about it. There's a sex scene. I saw it, and it really fit into the Sextember. There's some solid humping. I think you may get some man butt, and you definitely see some boobs, but it's kind of after the sex has concluded.
Interesting stuff, man.
Interesting
stuff. So next week, let us know.
I just steamed it right back up.
Steamed it
here.
right back up.
Whew!
Next week, let us know your most comedic sex scene that you've ever seen.
Oh, and, by the way, we took a poll.
I know. That's what I'm getting into.
Okay.
I'm getting into the last sex scene we will talk about today, and it transitions into our next topic.
Also, and it fits perfectly for this week's theme because it's possibly one of the worst sex.
We did poll it on Twitter, and it came up as yes that this counts as a sex.
This is a sex scene.
This sex
it definitely is. It's so bad that me and Buddy had to determine whether or not it was actually a sex scene. But the
loyal
followers. 7 voters on Twitter.
Was it only 7?
7 votes. Out of 7 votes, we have determined
that
this is without a doubt a sex scene.
The scene in the illustrious new film Don't Breathe, which involves a turkey baster, is in fact a sex scene.
It is a sex scene. We were a little confused.
Was it a 4-3 vote, or was it? Could you tell?
It looked like it might have been a 5-2.
5-2. All right, so
I'll pull up the results. You can start describing the sex scene right about now.
So if you have not seen Don't Breathe, go see it. It was a good movie. But we're gonna fucking spoil it for you guys. So yeah, tough shit.
It might have been a 4-3.
4-3.
57% to 43%.
That's definitely 4-3.
Yeah.
So, how should we just start from the beginning of this movie, or are we just diving into the sex scene?
Let's dive into the sex scene because we're still on Sextember.
All right, so spoiling the majority of this movie, this dude, the blind guy's daughter, who, if you've seen the trailers, you know it's about a blind guy, and these people get locked in his house, and he's trying to kill them, essentially. He kidnaps...
Well, they're trying to steal from him.
They're trying to steal from him, and then he traps them in the house. Basically, his daughter gets killed, and the person who killed the daughter, I believe it was a car accident of some sort. This lady hit his daughter with a car. She's found innocent in the trial. So basically, he kidnaps her and keeps her in the basement to give him a replacement child, in which he inseminates her and is essentially making her give birth to another child. So
he's not a rapist.
Not a rapist, which we will get into. So some things happen. She escapes, and basically this girl gets killed. So the blind guy is like, "Well, shit. Well, he
captures our female lead.
Captures our female lead and is going to inseminate her with his seed. And it leads to one of the worst sex scenes ever.
Involving a turkey baster. So he's not a rapist.
He's not a rapist. When we were watching, because we went to see this, we thought he was going to flat out going to rape her. And he pulls out this turkey baster and fills it with his jizz. And essentially he's just going to stick this fucking turkey baster in her.
Cuts her pants open. He's about to jam it in. And then he gets a hammer or crowbar to the back of the head. They handcuff him and
force him to eat his own semen.
Yeah, they jam the turkey baster in his mouth. Semen goes flying everywhere. So here's where the confusion was, buddy, because there was no penetration in this scene. But there was a money shot.
There was a money shot.
Which was enough to get a 4-3 vote that this is, in fact, a sex scene. And with no nudity and some pretty disturbing subject matter, this is, without a doubt, a terrible sex scene. One of the worst.
One of the worst sex scenes, but how did you feel about it as a film itself?
The movie was good. I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd.
I also gave it 3.
And that's pretty fucking good for me. And I don't know, there was some good, tense, suspenseful moments. I liked the use of the implementation of old man strength in the movie throughout. The main antagonist of the movie definitely used some old man strength in this movie. He took a fucking beating.
He did.
I thought he was fucking dead at the end. And he's not, spoiler alert. But he fucking what? He
survived a sledgehammer to the head, probably some multiple gunshots. Didn't he get? Yeah, he got shot.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
he got
sure.
Shot in the leg or something and then a fall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was not really much to say about this movie other than it was good. Go see it.
I did go in with a little bit of, I don't know, because we thought it was a horror movie going in, but we were told
it
kind of was, but it was more of a suspense thriller. Half the time, because we were informed that there was a twist in this movie, which when we were watching it, there really wasn't that much of a twist per se, more of a coincidence, I guess, than a twist. So the entire time I was just thinking of a bunch of twists that would have actually made the movie probably a better movie than it actually was. And also what I was thinking the entire time was how hilarious this movie would be if it had a bigger budget and could afford a big name A-list actor as its blind guy. Some names that were thrown around were Arnold Schwarzenegger. Would have been fucking hilarious in this movie.
Well, I just like that every time this guy noticed something, like he'd smell something or hear something, it just looked like... the look on his face was hilarious.
And that's what I was doing. In this movie, I was watching this guy, and there's this scene where all the lights go out, but to the blind guy, it doesn't really matter. And he's just wandering around in this basement, staggering around. And I was just thinking how fucking hilarious it would be if it was Arnold just walking around, staggering around.
Well, it's a cut. It cuts from the shot. Okay, so there's the two burglars that are down there. They can't see shit. This isn't their environment. So it's kind of like a night vision thing. You can kind of see them and they're all confused. They're running into shit. They can't figure out where they are. And then it'll cut to this old guy and he's just fucking cruising. Because he knows exactly where he is, and he's just he's touching things and stuff, making sure exactly where he is. He's just fucking cruising. It was pretty funny, unintentionally funny moment.
Yeah. I was also thinking, give it 20 years, but I was also thinking it would be hilarious if fucking Brock Lesnar starred in this movie as the blind guy.
Oh, man.
That would be fucking hilarious, watching him stagger around in the basement.
Someone made a really good suggestion once on a forum a long-ass time ago, around the time of Spider-Man 3, when Topher Grace played Venom, and was saying that Brock Lesnar should have played Eddie Brock in Venom. And I was just thinking, goddamn, what a perfect, at least from a visual standpoint, I don't know about acting ability, but what a perfect, casting.
Physique.
Yeah, and his hair, he's got the same haircut and everything as Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
So that would have been good, but, I mean, that's just the thing. Maybe
I doubt
maybe cast Brock Lesnar next time you make a Spider-Man movie with Venom in it.
I don't know if Brock would ever act. I'm not sure.
I mean, he acts all the time in wrestling.
Well, yeah. But
I don't know.
But we could see it. Definitely cast Brock Lesnar as your next villain in whatever superhero movie you're doing.
So speaking of superhero movies, there's some news. There was an interview with the director of Justice League recently, who he just had a couple of little tidbits of information about, about the movie.
Inform me about these tidbits, because I have not heard anything.
Yes, you have.
No, I really haven't. Quickly inform me.
So this guy basically fucking fired shots at Zack Snyder. He said the Justice League is going to be, and as we kind of saw in the trailer, kind of a little bit more lighthearted. He said that, there's this reputation that DC's got these darker movies right now. and everything, and he doesn't think that's the case. And so it's a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more comedy. And he said it's not going to have any of like the controversial Zack Snyder like weird fucking like things like the dream sequence in Batman versus Superman where Batman's shooting guns and killing people and stuff. And it also said that they will address Batman's kind of softened stance that he's taken on lethal justice, apparently, because he kills a couple people in Batman versus Superman. So that will be addressed in Justice League, apparently. And I think this is all exciting news, and I'm really looking forward to Justice League now more so than I was, just based on this interview.
So interesting stuff. Some more DC news. That also has to do with casting. What's that guy's name again? I already forgot. Joe
Manganiello.
Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke, which some of you may know from How I Met Your Mother.
He was also in Sabotage.
He wasn't.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I saw that on his IMDb. He was also in the Magic Mike movies, which I have not seen.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming a lot of the Ross Lynch fans out there have probably seen Magic Mike.
You think so?
Maybe. I don't know. Some of the older
kind
ones.
Of like that's
some
kind
of the
like
older
an
ones. Some of the older fans.
Female movie. Joe Manganiello is probably not the Ross Lynch crowd's type. Because Ross Lynch is, he's skinny, kind of baby face, pretty boy. And Joe Manganiello is definitely a handsome guy, but he's jacked. He's jacked. His hair is probably around the same length as Ross Lynch, but he's got the facial hair. He's more just kind of a gritty, manly man. It's two different flavors.
Isn't Kevin Nash in Magic Mike?
Kevin Nash is definitely in Magic Mike, and I don't know if we see what he's packing in it, but maybe we should go see Magic Mike.
Just because of Kevin Nash?
If I see Kevin Nash's dick, I'll be satisfied. I think that's worth the price of admission. So anyway, his buddy's just giving me this bewildered look right now. I have this thing where it's like if there's a celebrity that I really admire, I wouldn't mind seeing their dick. It's
just
a weird thing. Arnold. Show me Arnold's dick. Where's Arnold's dick?
Have you seen, I don't know what movie it was on, but have you heard about Adam Sandler when he was trying to see Shaq's dick?
Oh.
He was, I think it's when they were shooting Grown Ups or Grown Ups 2 or something. Adam Sandler was on a quest to see Shaq's dick. And
I never thought I would say I relate to Adam Sandler. Or at least modern Adam Sandler, but I think that maybe me and Adam Sandler have some things in common.
But I get, because they were shooting a scene, and I guess at lunch or in between or at the end of the day or something, Shaq wanted to go take a shower in this locker room, and Adam Sandler was trying to sneak past Shaq's security to see his dick. And from what I've heard, Shaq-curity.
Shaq's Shaq-curity.
And I believe Sandler saw it. I believe Shaq graced him with the opportunity to see his penis.
Shaq's an easygoing guy. It seems like he would probably just be like, oh, you want to see what I'm packing here? And just kind of show him. Shaq, if you're listening out there, which you're not, you want to slide into our DMs and send us some dick pics. 2nerds316 on Twitter. We won't share it with the public. But we
just
will do
know.
our best to describe it on the podcast.
We will do our best to describe it.
Next month.
Next month. Anyway.
You have a month, Shaq. Not really, but like 2/3 of a month.
What a guy.
Shaquille O'Neal. And if you would like to come on our podcast sometime, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Come on our podcast, hype up your fight with the Big Show at WrestleMania 33. We'd love to have you on the show.
Let's tweet.
We'll tweet to
we'll
Shaq.
Tweet after and be like, hey, do a crude photoshopping of me next to Shaq. So here's a photo of one of our hosts with Shaquille O'Neal. Retweet and favorite if you'd like to see Shaq on the show or hear Shaq on the show. So anyways, we'll probably get 50 retweets on that.
Hopefully. We'll see.
I think that if we do this every week, like yours is a legit photo with Ross Lynch. So Ross Lynch fans out there, that's the genuine article. Ross Lynch and Buddy Candela are in fact the Spaz Bros for life. And
He did say that we should get matching tattoos that say Spaz Bros for life. Fun fact for you guys out there. But
good Lord,
yeah.
Buddy, how has he not been on the show yet? Matching tattoos.
He's back. He's back in LA, man.
Phone call.
Phone. We'll
phone
see.
call. Let's get a phone interview with Ross.
We will
Lynch.
see. We will see.
Slide into his text messages and be like, "So when are we getting this matching tattoo?" And then when you guys are getting the matching tattoos, like,
we'll live
hey
stream
man,
it.
like we got a really shitty podcast that like, if you came on, it would really just help take us to the next level, and we'd appreciate that. We're broke.
We were broke.
We would probably get at least 1 million views if he came on.
I would hope.
And so, like, out of those 1 million views, we'd probably get like 10 cents from YouTube.
Probably.
So,
Roughly 10.
So, this week, wrestling, buddy. What do you got?
Did you watch Raw?
I read about Raw.
You read about Raw? I watched about half of it. Again, like the 3-hour runtime. I mean, I clock out pretty early. There's just so much wrestling content in a week to keep up with.
I haven't even watched Cruiserweight Classic, and I'm only halfway through NXT right now, so we won't be talking about those. But next week is the finale for the Cruiserweight Classic.
So we will definitely be
2-hour special. It's the semifinals and the finals in one episode. So
we will probably be talking about that. Backlash is this Sunday. Really, the only thing that happened that was that memorable on Raw this week was Roman Reigns is versing Kevin Owens next week to see make it a triple threat match or not. Yeah, so Raw was a pretty standard show this week from what I saw. Didn't watch SmackDown.
I didn't even read about SmackDown.
I
heard it was bad.
But Backlash is happening this Sunday. They're going to be crowning the new SmackDown Women's title and SmackDown Tag Team titles, as well as the title match for the World Championship with Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles, which I'm thinking AJ will go over. Yeah.
I think so. I think Dean's a little cold right now as champion. And so I think having AJ win the title will extend that feud a little bit. And then just having him be champion will kind of freshen it up a little bit, because Dean's title run has been disappointing to me a little bit. And maybe it's because his only like opponent besides Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns has been Dolph Ziggler. So I don't know. We'll see. That SmackDown roster is so thin, man.
Yeah.
It's so fucking thin.
Especially with Cena gone. At least until SmackDown comes to Cleveland, because I saw an ad on a YouTube video I was watching. They're trying to get me to buy tickets to SmackDown in Cleveland. There's going to be
Get us a press pass.
Could try. Could try. There's going to be a tag team match that night, which they were saying in the commercial, between Dean Ambrose, John Cena, and Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, AJ Styles, and I think The Miz. Okay. I believe that's going to be in Cleveland. So yeah, they're booking it pretty early in advance. And they called Dean Ambrose the champion in that commercial. So
they can change that if he loses. That's irrelevant. It's not like they were going to say WWE champion AJ Styles.
True.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Anyways.
So besides, we both agree on AJ. It's probably going to come through this Sunday. Do you have any predictions with who's going to be the women's champion or who's going to be tag team?
Becky Lynch for
That's
the
what I'm
women's
hoping.
champion.
That's also what I'm hoping. Becky Lynch. And the way they're determining the tag team titles is they're having a match earlier on in the night between the Usos and I forget the other team.
Heath Slater and Rhino.
No, that's later. Because the winner of the Usos, and I think it might be the Hype Bros. Whoever wins that match goes on to win. Well, goes on to verse Heath Slater.
Usos.
Goes on to verse Slater and Rhino in the final.
Usos.
I bet you're clipping so hard, probably. But anyway.
When I say oos, y'all say oh.
No.
Oos.
No.
Anyways, yeah, the Usos versus Heath Slater and Rhino. Book it. Usos go over. Tag team champions.
Here's a question for you. Since they're calling this the SmackDown Tag Team Champion and the SmackDown Women's Champion, are they renaming the ones for Raw, or are they just keeping it like that? What do you think?
Why not name them the Universal Tag Team Champions and the Universal Women's Champion? No, I think that the Raw ones will stay the same, just like the WWE World Heavyweight title will stay the same on SmackDown.
So no changes there, you foresee?
Changes, no.
Anything else going on crazy?
Listen, man. Sextember is rolling on. We've done our best to cool the temperatures. It's not working out. Temperatures are just rising back up at a hefty rate. I need to get back into my air-conditioned house because I can't take this anymore. So I have nothing else to add to this.
I have nothing else to add. Another short episode this week.
We'll be
short and sweet.
Yeah. That's the way we like them now. An hour and a half is just too much of us for most people to digest. 45 minutes, I think, is a good run time, is what we should aim for most of the time.
45 minutes an hour. That's what I'm thinking.
Some guests coming up, perhaps, in the near future. Matt Barnum from Homewrecker and Harm's Way should be on here pretty soon. We've been hyping up that Cinder Block interview for some time now, but that probably won't come out until around November.
Yeah, that one will be a little bit of time.
He's still doing his tour of Southeast Asia.
Yeah, he's still a man on the road. I've been talking to his people, and I know he's a pretty busy guy. But the legendary Ezra Cook might be on the podcast at some point, talking about the Wasted Blood, the Lost Tapes, and the history of his run in the hardcore scene. Be a good dude to have on the show.
Dan Kinham, the director of Adjust Your Tracking and co-founder of VH Shitfest, will be on the show pretty soon. He's been getting at me to kind of do this interview. I think he's on the road right now too, so that might be a November interview as well. A lot of interviews in November because I'm going to be on the road my damn self. So, anyways, I think that's all we have for this week, guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you follow our podcast page. Two Nerds, TWO Nerds 316 on Twitter. Follow my page at Dynamite Jared on Twitter. And
follow me at Buddy Candela. Let us know in the comments of the YouTube video what you guys want us to talk about next week. Again, if you guys want to listen on the go, we will have a download link in the description. Might take a little bit to get up, but it will be there, so check back and see when it's up.
Make sure you guys are adding Ross Lynch and Shaquille O'Neal, letting them know that you want to hear them here on Two Nerds, a podcast where we ask the hard-hitting questions.
Do we?
I don't know. We haven't interviewed anyone yet. So.
We kind of interviewed Ricky, but not too much.
We asked him some hard-hitting questions. Look, man, we're asking the hard-hitting questions to the people out there. Like, what's the worst sex scene of all time? Such a hard-hitting question that no one could even answer it.
No one could answer. Hopefully they'll answer what the most comedic sex scene they've ever seen is.
Yeah.
We can only hope. We can only dream. Until next week, this is Buddy the Bruiser signing off.
Dynamite Jared signing off. We'll see you guys next week.